Now we're going to talk about Marvel Studios MCU canon because obviously they canonized the Netflix shows, and people are like, well, what's next? So, Marvel's head of TV,
Everything.
Brad Winderbaum, was directly asked about the rest of the shows, specifically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And his statement was, now that we got the Netflix stuff in, we are tackling Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the rest of Marvel TV next. He's just confirmed to us without saying 100%,
That Shield's
yes,
canon.
we're gonna, it's coming back. Were they just coming out and just straight up saying, hey, you're gonna see Quake or X, Y, and Z in this is a spoiler. They don't do that. Remember how they talked about Daredevil and She-Hulk? They're like, well, if you pay attention, we're gonna tell you more soon. And then here comes Echo and it's canon. When one of the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. pops up somewhere, maybe Secret Warriors or something, who knows? It's canon. And they're going to retroactively add it timeline wise to the Disney Plus lineup, you know?
Watch it be Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly,
if rumors have believed, the Ghost Rider that they're bringing in is not the one from Shield. So,
I mean, it
why
makes
they
sense.
why they gotta do him?
Like,
Why they gotta do him like that, man?
because
I don't want Johnny
we
Blaze,
have
man.
Robbie Reyes as a Ghost Rider. We have to have the white stuntman or his clone, the other white non-stuntman.
I mean, it makes sense how you're going to do Ghost Rider. You introduce one, it's a fresh old origin. In his movie, you explain, or his whatever, you explain, hey, other Ghost Riders exist. You've probably interacted with them. You just don't know because when the spirit takes over, your mind is kind of lost in it, right? It's like, oh, that explains Robbie Reyes and the passing of the powers and all this. Like, it's such an easy thing to do. Robbie will be back. I have no doubt Robbie will.
Oh, 100%. Like, we're going to see, I imagine, a more accurate version of Robbie.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy who played him in S.H.I.E.L.D. No disrespect to him. I think he's a great actor. He's on, Last of Us. He's fantastic.
Oh, Gabriel Luna?
That's the one. I don't know why I forgot his name. But, yeah, Gabriel Luna's great. So maybe we get an Easter egg with him. For me, if I was like Winderbaum and Feige in that, I can't remember exactly where the last season of S.H.I.E.L.D. left them off.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they weren't in the timeline that they started out in.
Yeah,
I know that's the implication. So I don't obviously I can probably retrofit it. So it's just, if you want to keep the entire show, you go, right, cool. Well, they started out in a different timeline. They've now ended. Literally, the show ends in the MCU, and you that way. So it leaves you completely open. Everything stays there. You can carry on. You got all the character development. You got everything.
So I do believe, I think it was like end of season 5 or something, where Thanos is literally attacking New York, and as the events are happening with Doctor Strange and like the Hulk fighting, like Ebony Maw and stuff, we literally get the other side of New York, and the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are doing that whole thing, and then they go into space. From that moment on, they get flung to the future. It's a separate timeline. So you could even acknowledge that they travel through time and there's parallel universes now bending back on itself, which is what they explained in Loki. Or you just say, hey, those guys went off and that's a parallel thing. But the agents that you saw, season 5, things played out slightly differently. And there you go. Like it's not that hard. Like look at the Netflix shows, right? There's things in there that literally are referencing what's happening in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, I think it was Jessica Jones season 2. There's moments in Luke Cage. Like, it's all there. Like, why wouldn't you make it all canon? Because they're not going to reboot these characters. That's why they decided to make Daredevil canon. Because it's like, what's the point of rebooting while all the legwork has been done? It's...
Yeah. Though I don't buy what Winderbaum said, where he's like, oh, there's people wanting to know. It's like, no, you knew.
Yeah.
Don't give us this absolute bull crap of you're surprised that people gave a crap about this being, in canon or not. You absolutely 100% knew.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to save face because you weren't. There was a point where it wasn't going to be because you told like the writers and stuff to act like it's not canon.
Yeah. And there's an old interview. I went and I dug it up just like the other day ago when he was talking about it. And it was from Marcus and McFeely writing Infinity War and Endgame. And they specifically said, and Kevin Feige was there with it, like when they were doing the interviews, and they said, we looked at Marvel TV, we were writing Daredevil into it, but then we realized there's too much homework for people to do with these characters to show up, and it was such a huge undertaking that we decided not to write them in. So at some point,
Yeah, weren't they
were
doing that with
thinking
Civil
about it.
War as well? Wasn't he
Yeah,
going to be
yep.
on one of the other sides? But then
Yeah.
it's like you just can't fit this guy.
Right.
This movie's so stuffed as it is, he can't fit him in.
You know, retroactively, if you look at what they said there and you look at it now, that argument holds true because people are like, hold up, I got to watch WandaVision to understand Doctor Strange too. I got to watch
Yeah,
this.
100%. Yeah.
So
it's
they
the Star
were right.
Wars problem, right? It's just, you know, you want to understand Ahsoka like completely, go watch 7 seasons of Clone Wars.
I can't tell you how many times I paused to explain to Shay what is going on in Mando because she knows I know. And she's like, okay, explain this to me. I'm like,
it's kind of ironic because like some of those people are the very same people who will complain about recap episodes because they need to figure stuff out, and then it's all, oh, well, we just made this episode just for you. This is boring.
Yeah, it's people are wild. People are wild. So what was it? There was something the other not that long ago. That the first episode was like a recap or something. Completely blanking on it.
Yeah. Something I recently watched also had that effect. I was like, wow, this is a lot of recapping, huh?
Yeah. I just can't think what it was. I've completely lost track of anything I watched this year.
That is how it happens. That is how
I've been on autopilot because Invincible's been away. That's what it is.
Oh. Well, it's like, I am a fan of bringing everything into canon, besides Hellstrom, because nobody watched that. Just don't bring Hellstrom into. I don't care that they reference the rest of the Marvel
Hellstrom
universe.
Ever canon?
No, apparently because they reference events. There's small references in there. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but nothing survived long enough to reference Hellstrom, so does it count?
Exactly. So just take that out.
It's like,
if a tree makes a reference to the forest in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it actually make a reference?
It's
this just gives me hope for Cloak and Dagger, and I'm gonna not remain like stuck in this time of begging for Cloak and Dagger anymore.
Yeah.
I spent years and finally got it just to have it stripped away from me. Now I'm begging again to have them back, and it's like, come on, bring
Cloak and Dagger straight up mentions events happening on the Netflix show, and the Netflix shows kind of lean into the Roxxon accident and everything. So it's all there. It's got to be canon.
I demand Cloak and Dagger and Spider-Man 4. I don't care about Daredevil. Just give me those two.
School students.
If I don't see Cloak and Dagger and Spider-Man on screen together in my lifetime, I'm going to haunt someone hard.
We got to haunt, I don't know, whoever directs Spider-Man 4.
I'll just haunt the Disney lot for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And some like hack in California's game, but like, oh, this ghost.
The ghost of this British guy won't go away.
How did he get here? No one knows.
No one knows. No one knows.